Oh, it looks like we're live. It is Friday night. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is your boy T with the weekend update. We are back. I'm so happy to finally be back. And I don't know if we're live yet. Give me 1 second. Let's see if we're actually in the building. Oh, I think we are. I think we are. And welcome. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. And I'm so excited to continue to do these weekend updates to tell you what I saw, what you should see, what you shouldn't see, what you shouldn't waste your time going to check out. And let's get right into it. This weekend, I did go see quite a few movies. Went and saw two in the theater, and I just finished. Literally, probably about an hour ago, finished watching a new Netflix flick, which probably won the weekend for me, but I'll get into it in order in which I saw the movies. Let's start off with Primate. Primate. Let's get into it. We're trying to get these different little graphical things. Here we go. Primate. Let's get a little bigger. Here we go. Primate. What is wrong with Ben? I mean, this movie. What can I say about this flick that probably won't get said on the internet other than why did we make a movie about a murderous chimpanzee? I don't know. I grew up in the 80s, 90s. They had this movie, and I think it came out in 1988. Monkey Shines. I stayed away from it. I stayed away from the monkey that came out. I think it was about 2 years ago. Not the biggest fan of monkey movies. But Primate was directed by Johan Roberts. He directed 47 Meters Down. My wife loves any movie that has anything to do with sharks. Um, he directed the first one. He directed Uncaged, the second one. He actually directed Strangers Prey at Night, which I think is the strongest Strangers movies to date. I really enjoyed Strangers Prey at Night. I really am not enjoying these last two Stranger movies that came out, Strangers Chapter 1 and Strangers Chapter 2. I actually just watched Chapter 2 maybe 2 days ago. And wow, that's a wow. He also directed Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, which I actually enjoyed. I thought that was the strongest Resident Evil or the closest Resident Evil movie to the games. Wasn't very well received. Not a lot of people enjoyed the Resident Evil movie, but I was one of the people who did actually enjoy it. But here we have Primate. It is starring Johnny Sequoia, Victoria Wyatt, Jessica Alexander. Okay, never heard. I've never seen any of these young actresses in any other movies. But one thing these horror movies do is they get the most beautiful, exotic looking women, and they put them in these crazy locations to entice their core audience into seeing the movie. And they did their job. Also, one of the biggest stars of this movie, we had Miguel Torres Umba, who kind of did the Andy Serkis thing, playing Ben the ape. He did all of the mocap, he did all of the stunt work. And there are a few scenes where you really see our humanity in the ape. Like there's a few scenes where his movements are very human like. And I did wonder how they did the practical effects, how they did the stunt work, but it worked. He did a phenomenal job as Ben the chimpanzee for what it's worth. Um, but I mean, the plot of the movie, if you want to call it a plot, is the plot is Lucy, and this is I get this from Google. Lucy's tropical island homecoming turns deadly when the family's clever chimpanzee Ben becomes rabid. With her father away and no help coming, paradise becomes prison as Lucy and her friends fight for survival against a pet they once trusted. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Rock has this infamous joke where he talks about Siegfried and Roy and how I think it was Siegfried was in the hospital And this was like national news when their tiger, mauled Siegfried or Roy. I hate getting it wrong, but it was one of those two got mauled by their tiger. And Chris Rock has this infamous joke about that tiger didn't go crazy, that tiger went tiger. And this chimpanzee didn't go crazy. This chimpanzee didn't go chimpanzee. He actually had rabies, which is the plot of Cujo as well, where your neighborhood friendly pet gets rabies, gets infected, and just goes, no pun intended, apeshit, right? And Ben, the chimpanzee, we meet him, and this all happens very quickly. And one of the highlights of the movie is one, it just kind of gets to it. We meet the characters very, very briefly. We don't really care about the characters. We just know they're good looking people, right? Right. That's all we truly know is they're great looking people. And they go to this beautiful house. And that's the other star of the movie, is this home. So the story goes, the mother found this chimpanzee. She was trying to, she worked with sign language. The father was deaf. The mother she was a linguist. She wanted to bridge the gap between chimpanzees and humans. She brought Ben home. She taught him sign language. She taught him the language, and he became their domesticated, I wouldn't even say pet. He became like their domesticated brother. Like he was part of the family, Ben was. And of course, to them, it's not out of the ordinary, Ben just being around. But then to us as the audience and to the people who go to their home for the first time, seeing a chimpanzee just running around is off putting already. Right. And then you get him having rabies and turning into this killer monkey. And that's all you know. So as an audience, me as a sane person, I would not even have stayed there. Even if you tell me this monkey is the friendliest monkey ever, I'm out of there, right? I'm gonna get my stuff. I'm gonna go to an Airbnb down the street. But once you see this home, like this house, it was built in the side of the mountain. This thing was incredible, right? And it led for a great, great set piece for the movie. But back to the movie, right? And back to the highlights of one being the gore. This movie is rated R. It's not like any of these other PG-13 horror films. And we've had some January duds of horror films. We had Night Swim, we had Imaginary. And I think Imaginary is PG-13. And that was one of the biggest gripes with Imaginary was they skimped out on the gore. They skimped out on the kills. This movie had some devastating kills. I mean, it's a monkey. He is rabid and he is literally ripping people apart. He's ripping he's ripping limbs. He's beating people literally to death with just rage, right? Kind of like 28 days later, that rage virus. And you just have Ben the monkey and these people who nobody has their phone, nobody has a way of calling for help. And there's one character who has an opportunity to call for help, but they don't. And that's one of the biggest lowlights of this movie to me. It's just the sheer stupidity of humans, right? I understand being in a very unfamiliar situation and being not prepared for the worst thing that could happen, right? Ben is your family. You grew up with him. So him going crazy isn't the thing that should, it's not the thing that I blame characters for making poor choices because you're just survival instincts, right? Everybody don't have them. Everybody doesn't like fight or flight. A lot of people's flight response isn't to run straight for the door. It's to run into a closet or something like that. I get that. There is one particular character who had an opportunity to do the right thing, and that character simply did not. That character made all of the wrong choices by just making these assumptions that honestly got a lot more people killed, right? And that happens in all horror movies. People just make horrendous life decisions, like idiotic life decisions. And that's one of the reasons why I have a hard time watching a lot of horror. doesn't have to be elevated horror, but make like sane decisions. Like make a decision that a person with common sense will make, and that goes a long way. Things could still go left, right? You can make a common sense decision and you still get your head cut off, but at least write it to where a person makes a sane decision. Don't write it where they don't make the same decision just so we could get more gore and we could get more kills, right? And I think that that's what they did here. I think that's one of the biggest issues with this movie is it's all nonsensical, right? It's an ape killing people. Can that happen? I don't know. I've never had an ape as a pet, but I mean, for something this far fetched, I mean, I guess it is striking its core audience. My theater had quite a few people in it, so they definitely went out to see it. And hopefully the movie does well because it's a beautifully shot movie. I will say it doesn't look cheap. Like this director's done none of his movies look cheap. And this movie doesn't skimp on the budget of the visuals because once again, just getting that house, like just getting that set piece was great. And they definitely had a budget for gore because this movie is bloody crazy. Like it is blood, blood, blood. They don't turn away from the kills. Like they want you to see this ape bludgeoning people to death with whatever he can put his hands on. Another one of the things that I dislike about some horror movies is how a killer does one thing, right? It's a mindless killer, but then it becomes a calculating mindless killer halfway through the movie. Instead of, the zombies just running at you and they're killing you because they're mindless, towards the end of the movie because we have to create more tension, these zombies then, start thinking and they start getting creepy and they get quiet, even though they're zombies and they're just gonna, this is an ape just, and he's doing these things throughout the movie. And then towards the middle and towards the end, he becomes a silent assassin. This ape becomes a ninja and you can't hear him coming or going for whatever reason. And it's crazy. It's crazy. But what I will say is I still had a good time. Right? Even with the low lights, even with the flaws of the movie, I think the horror elements, I think the gore, if you're a fan of gore, you're gonna enjoy this movie. If you just love watching teens run around and get killed, you're gonna enjoy the hell out of this movie. It is a bloody romp. It is a bloody good time. It is way better than Imaginary, way better than Night Swim, way better than the January Dredge. My only concern is that they pushed off Soulmate, which is another AI love killer, AI turn killer type movie. This one's supposed to be a romantic comedy. I guess we had Companion, but Primate pushed that movie out of this slot. And I honestly thought it was a joke when I saw the trailer, but it wasn't. And I still had a good time with Primate. I still enjoyed it for what it was. And yeah, I mean, if you got time this weekend, if you're a horror fan, if you want to see a lot of blood, definitely go check out Primate. It is showing at all of your theaters. It is a wide release, which leads me to my second release of the week. The movie that I went and saw this afternoon. I went and saw this at 12:30 this afternoon. Greenland 2, Migration. Right, we blew up the Earth once. The asteroid came and destroyed the Earth, but a family made it. And damn it, we're going to continue to watch this family story, right? This movie, once again, directed by Roman Waugh. Rick Roman Waugh. He directed the original Greenland. He also directed Snitch, which starred The Rock. He directed Gerard Butler in Kandahar, and he actually directed Angel Has Fallen, the worst movie in the Fallen series with Mike Bannon. And as I was doing research for this, I found out that they're gonna make another Fallen movie, right? They're gonna make Night Has Fallen. I'm excited for that. I love Mike Bannon. That's one of my favorite characters of Gerard Butler. I really enjoy that character. I really enjoy the action in those movies. Um, but you don't always have to make a sequel for these movies, right? Greenland 2 could have been an email, right? That could have been a graphic novel that they wrote, but they made it a movie and it stars Gerard Butler again. It stars Morena Baccarin, and I'm never going to pass up an opportunity to go see Morena Baccarin on the big screen. That is literally the only reason I went and saw this movie. It also stars, what's this kid's name? Roman Griffin Davis as their son, who infamously, Greenland, the first Greenland, that movie started, and I was so intrigued with the idea of a family getting picked, like you picking a family to survive the end of the world. And that scene where, his name gets called up on the TV and all of it, they could have made a movie just about that scene in itself. But the movie carries on as they're trying to go to Greenland. And in spoilers for the original Greenland, there is that one scene where the kid gets taken by another family, and that scene as a father, as a parent, stuck with me so hard. That was the most terrifying scene in the movie, was when that family kidnapped the kid and they kicked Morena Baccarin out of the car. And I had a panic attack as a father. I was just sitting there like, oh my gosh, how could this happen? And then the stroke of luck of them finding the kid again, this movie is just this family having the worst luck of all, but still surviving, meaning that they have the best luck of all. And welcome in Frank. Yes, Morena is awesome. I could watch her drink a glass of water. She is one of my favorite actresses. Loved her in V, even though that series, the remake series, was awful. But I did love her in that. And I think Erica Durant was in that one. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Laura Vandervoort. Uh, Smallville Supergirl. I think that was Supergirl on Smallville. I could be wrong. Or was she? I can't remember who she is. Yeah, she was playing Supergirl. Laura Vandervoort. Anyways, back to Greenland. The plot of Greenland, and once again, I get this from Google. In the aftermath of a comet strike that decimated most of the planet, the Garrity family must leave the safety of their Greenland bunker and traverse a shattered world in search of a new home. So there's this thing in horror, zombie movies, right, where you have this catastrophe, you have this, and here I am, I still got my Primate thing up there, but we're not on Primate. We're on Greenland 2. We're talking about Greenland 2. What am I doing? All rookie live stream moves right here. Um, but yeah, uh, you have these catastrophes, and then we find out that it's not the catastrophe that's the worst thing in the world, it's the humans, right? Just like in Greenland 1, the family taking a kid away to take him to be with Jesus, or whatever their reasoning was for kidnapping the kid in part 1. um, it's just humans doing bad things, right? You have this catastrophe, everybody's trying to survive, so they're going to do everything they can to survive. And there's just this battle of just wills. There's this battle, and like nobody's really good or evil, and nobody's really right or wrong. It's just humans' innate nature to want to survive, right? So I can't call somebody bad for trying to fight to get on a boat or to get on a plane to save their family and save their lives. But in these movies, Gerard Butler will do just a little bit more than you to make sure his family is safe, and that's what he's doing this entire movie. And that's one of the highlights of the movie to me, is that the fact that we met this cast in part 1, we met this family and we saw everything they did to get to where they were. So we knew the depths that they would go to keep their family intact. But then that also leads me to the lowlights where, goddamn, they're doing a lot to keep, like, everything that could go wrong in this world, in their world, seems to happen. And this movie does it at the most odd times. Like every time there's a peaceful moment in this film, it gets disturbed by just utter chaos. Like there are moments where they're having this talk and it just gets like it happens every time. Like any moment that's peaceful in this movie, I just assume somebody's about to die because that literally is what happens in this film. It is just so sudden and it's trying to tell you how, chaotic the world is, how chaotic life is, how it could just all end in the split of a split second. But Gerard Butler is going to do what he has to do to keep his family intact and get his family to the place now that they're trying to get to, which is the crater or the new cradle of civilization. It's kind of a I don't know what they were going for here, but I do know what they were going for here. It was a lot of chaos in the world. I don't know how so many people survived in the outside world who weren't in the bunker, but they did. Throughout all the chaos of the original movie, there were a lot of survivors, and they had to navigate their way through all the through all the survivors. Um, and one thing I noticed, so in all of these movies, you meet an assortment of characters, but in this movie in particular, I noticed that every character who was attractive, that was the character that joined the crew, or that was the character that they would find a way to save. If the person looked dirty or they looked out of sorts, that person's about to die. But if this person, because there was one person in particular, she was so fine. Like Amber Rose River, that was her name. Her name was in the credits. Didn't know who this person was, but right when I saw her in the scene she popped in initially, I was like, oh, she's gonna survive. And then the asshole survived. There's always an asshole. There's always like that one guy who's just a dick. He'll find a way to survive. He'll find a way to hitch his ride to wherever they're going. But the attractive people in this world found their way to get in the caravan and get led by Gerard Butler. And I just thought that was funny because like every time you get to a new place or get to a new set piece, you could point out the person that was going to survive for whatever reason, and 90% of the time that reason was because they were an attractive human being. Right? We not letting the Uggs, we not letting people like me survive. It got to be the model, the model who happens to have like a PhD in astrophysics or something like that. Insane, but at the same time, I still had a good time with the movie. I still had a great time with the movie. Let's see what Frank said. I would definitely exactly. That's me. Nah, see, I'm not that much of an asshole. I'm just enough, but I'm definitely not the handsome one in the group. I have to be the leader of the group, like, and hope that people assimilate with me. But I just thought that was funny, and I noticed that with a lot of TV shows. I noticed that with a lot of different things. Like the survivors because it's usually the good looking people, right? Or the elderly. There's like usually an elderly person who happens to be there, and they'll take care of an elderly person. I might be that elderly person in a few years that survives. Um, but at the same time, once again, who this movie is for, it's if you love the original Greenland, you're gonna like this movie. It's a continuation of the story. You met the family already. You saw the struggle, and like I went through it watching the original Greenland. Like I was with them. I was like, man, come on, y'all can make it. Y'all can make it. And I didn't think they were gonna make it. Like I'll be totally honest. I thought that movie was gonna end in a dour note, but they made it to the bunker in Greenland. This time they're trying to migrate because of the weather patterns due to the asteroid. That bunker get destroyed years later. Right? This is not a spoiler. You can see it in the trailers. But if you enjoyed the first Greenland, you will enjoy this movie. If you love disaster movies, you're gonna love this movie unless it's directed by Roland Emmerich. That guy can go somewhere. He's had his run, but all his disaster movies suck now. This is a for what it's worth a better disaster movie than most of the other ones. And then of course, if you're a Morena Baccarin fan like me, you're definitely gonna go see this movie. And it was a little too much for me. This movie could have been an email. So if you don't have the time and you had to select between Primate and Greenland 2, if you can stomach horror, I know a lot of people don't like horror like that. then go with Greenland too. But if you're a horror fan and you have to select between the two, definitely go with Primate. I think Primate is the better of the two. But there was a third. There was a third movie. This wasn't a nationwide release. This was a Netflix release. So if you feel like staying at home and just enjoying, the comfort of your couch, the comfort of your bed, the comfort of your beanbag chair, then you can definitely watch a movie on Netflix that just dropped. It was called People We Meet on Vacation. This movie stars Tom Blythe, who starred in that Hunger Games movie. I can't remember Ballads of Songs and Snakes, Songbirds and Snakes. And it stars Emily Bader. Never seen her anything else. Let's go ahead and change this up. But yeah, People We Meet on Vacation. It was directed by Brett Haley. He directed a few other Netflix movies, All the Bright Places, All Together Now. He loves movies with all in the title. And a movie called Heart Beats Loud. I've not seen any of these movies, not too familiar with his work, but he does those Netflix rom-coms. And speaking of Netflix rom-coms, Netflix always, every year, puts out at least one classic rom-com, right? Always Be My Maybe, Love at First Sight. Let's see, there was a few other. The Hitman. Hitman was like a great romantic comedy from 2 years ago. And this year, People We Meet on Vacation. After watching these two dour movies, the horror, the action, end of the world movie, I needed a palate cleanse. I needed something. I was going to start His and Hers, which is a Netflix series with John Bernthal and Tessa Thompson. I'm going to start that a little bit later. But I saw some people in my movie circle posting about how cute People We Meet It on Vacation was. And I decided to give it a go before I did this, just to give you guys three options for the weekend. And if you're going to pick between the three, I would pick this one. I mean, the highlight is just the cast. I mean, this is kind of, it started out kind of like a Harry Met Sally, two man and woman on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Uh, they the guy has to drive the girl this time. I think actually Harry drove Sally the last time, or was it Sally driving Harry? Can't remember. But Tom Blythe, his character has to drive the female who's a friend of his, I think of his girlfriend or somebody. They're from the same town. They're driving back home, and of course, their styles just immediately clash. But they become friends, and over the next 9 summers, they meet each other each summer. They go on vacation each summer, and they just kind of have fun, and they let their hair down, and they just do what they want to do. And Emily Bader's character, she happens to work for a magazine where she's the travel writer. So she gets all of these trips for free. They go all over the world to Italy, to Greece, to Barcelona. They go to all of these different places and they have these memorable moments, and we as the audience get to watch them. And movies like this only work if the chemistry between the two characters work. You have two strong characters, and I think in this movie their chemistry is so electric. They have such great chemistry because they're not really total opposites, because while they're on vacation they become their vacation personas. And everybody's had that moment where you're on vacation, and when in Vegas, or when in Rome, do the Rome do. So when you're on vacation, you become a different person. I know I do. When I used to go on trips, whether it be with a significant other or without a significant other, you're in a different place. Nobody knows who you are. You can be whoever you want to be, and they play that up because they do a little bit of role playing when they're in New Orleans, which leads to a really really cute memorable scene within the movie. And that's how I describe this whole movie. It's just a very cute movie, a very um subtle, not over the top comedy, but it does have its comedy spots. It's clearly a romantic comedy. It does have some dramatic pieces in there as well. And it just felt real. It just these two people felt like real people, other than the name. Emily Bader's character's name was Poppy. If anybody watches this, knows a human being named Poppy, please post it in the comments. I would love to hear that. But yeah, other than trolls, that's the only other character I know named Poppy. Queen Poppy from the Trolls. My kids love the Trolls movies. But this character's name was Poppy, and just thought that was completely, and I just maybe I'm of the wrong ethnicity to know anybody named Poppy, but I've been in the army a very long. I don't even know anybody's nickname whose nickname is Poppy. Doesn't made any, I know Pappy or Chappie from Iron Eagle, Louis Gossett Jr. But Poppy, nah, but everything else felt really real. Their relationship, how they interacted with each other, the crux in the movie felt really real. It felt like things that I've encountered before, or things that I've seen happen with other people before, and that's what I really enjoyed about the movie. It wasn't this fantastical rom com where everything is just not organic. It somewhat felt organic, this story, and it really worked because of the character work between Tom Blythe and Emily Bader. They really shown, they were glowing on screen, and Tom Blythe reminded me so much of Gordon Joseph Levitt, or Joseph Gordon Levitt, whatever his name is, in 500 Days of Summer. Like, when I say that's all I could see as I was watching him on the screen, um, I just saw a lot of that, and Emily Beta was just fantastic. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything else, but she was phenomenal in this movie. She played Poppy as perfectly as anybody could. She just was that girl that I would find annoying, but at the same time very endearing. Right? She meant well. She was a little over the top, and that was just part of her character. But that's what endeared me to her, and I think that's what endeared her to Tom Blythe's character, whose name was Alex. I could not remember his name for the longest time. His name was Alex. And my wife would not watch this movie with me because she has the book, and she's gonna read the book first before she watches the movie. And then after she reads the book, we'll watch the movie together. And hopefully she enjoys it. She's not a big fan of rom com. Me, that is my thing. That was almost gonna be the name of this podcast live stream. It was always almost gonna be the name, named Must Love Rom Coms. And I told that story, I think, in episode one. So if you want to hear the story of why it was almost going to be named Must Love Rom-Coms, definitely go check out episode one of the Weekend Update. Um, but moving on, let's see if there's anything else that came out this weekend. Let me try to pull something up. Movies that might have came out this weekend. Just to make sure I'm not missing anything. I mean, of course, we still have a bunch of movies in the theater, but there was a movie, I Was a Stranger. That's from Angel Studios. I don't do Angel Studios. Dead Man's Wire. I did hear about that, but I think that's a limited release, and I definitely probably will catch that when it comes out on streaming. That's one of those movies that's probably going to hit streaming within a few weeks. We do have His and Hers. That is a new limited series that came out on Hulu, or on Netflix, I mean. That popped out this weekend. Let me see if there's anything else that you could be watching this weekend, if you're watching this live or if you're watching this on replay. I hope you guys are watching this at all. But if not, then you're gonna go watch the wrong movie this weekend. Or you're gonna waste your time watching a movie that's probably not for you this weekend. Of course, we still got The Housemaid out there, Zootopia 2. I'm gonna wait for that to come on streaming for the family to watch that together. I didn't get a chance to go see that. Let's see. Let me pull up my Discord because, of course, the Discord group. Um, let's see what we got here. Now playing, we got Code 3 that is on Hulu. I definitely want to check that out. There was a lot of movies that I simply didn't get an opportunity to watch because the end of my year turned crazy, buying a new house and everything. And I hope everyone had a wonderful new year, safe new year. What else? Predator Badlands that's out for rental now. Yeah, I think that's really it. I think that's really it for this weekend. You got Primate, you got People We Meet on Vacation on Netflix. You have Greenland, and I think this weekend Hijack comes back. Fallout's going on right now. That's pretty big. Stranger Things just ended. I was not on the Stranger Things fan boy wagon, bandwagon. Was not one of the things that I enjoyed too much. But that came to an end on New Year's. But this weekend, I mean, His and Hers, I'm really looking forward to that. So I'm going to check that out. I might drop a review of that once I check out all episodes. I think that's the biggest series release. Uh, Fallout is on episode 4. I think I've only watched 2 episodes so far. And that's really it. That's really it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the episode or the podcast now. I definitely thank Frank. Thank you so much for stopping by. He's a Marina Baccarin fan as well. So he definitely stopped by and had some choice words for Marina Baccarin. We're part of her fan club. But definitely, if you have an opportunity to go to the movies this weekend, choose wisely. These movies are expensive. Uh, and just quick story before I go. So I moved to a different side of town. El Paso is kind of split up into like 4 or 5 different parts of town. You got the Northeast, you got the West Side, you got the Far East, and I live in Horizon, which is like the far East. And my AMC theater is in the Northeast. It's like a 35-minute drive to get from my house to the AMC theater. I was infamously a StubHub member, the AMC A list. I love the 3 movies a week. I think I paid $21 a month to watch up to 3 movies a week, which is a great deal. So once I moved to Horizon, I had to find a movie theater close to me, and I found the Alamo Draft House. I had a different understanding of what the Alamo Draft House was. It serves food like full course meals, pizza, burgers, hot dogs. Really expensive hot dogs, by the way. $15 for a hot dog is insane work. Like I don't care. Like that hot dog, it better come with 5 hot dogs for $15. But I digress. AMC Draft House, they have a great membership program. I They have a $19 membership program, but then you have to pay a fee if you're going to see a movie in IMAX. They call it the big theater. Or if you're going to see any 3D movies, you have to pay like $1 or $1.50 for those 3D movies. But with the package that I have, I paid $30 a month. You could go see a movie a day. So I can book a movie a day. Like I booked Greenland yesterday, or Primate yesterday, then Greenland today. And I could go see one tomorrow. I could go see one movie a week. Now, of course, they make their money because when I go to the movies, I have to eat. I have to drink and eat something. Everything on the menu is like $9 up. Like that is the biggest gripe with that. Every time you go there, you're gonna at least spend $25 if you want food. If you want nachos and a drink, you're still gonna spend 22 bucks, which is insane work. But at the same time, that's the world we live in. Unless you go back to, if I go back to my old ways where I buy a bag of Skittles and bring a bottle of soda or a bottle of water in my hoodie, then I could do that. But I try not to do that. I try not to do that too much anymore. But Alamo Draft House has been a really cool change up. I don't get to see Nicole Kidman anymore. AMC, waiting the movie starting 45 minutes after its start time doesn't happen anymore with Alamo Draft House. The movie starts on time every time. Well, at least the previews start on time every time, unlike my AMC, where sometimes the previews won't start till 10 minutes after the showtime. And then they play like 10 previews. But at Alamo, they usually give you about 3 to 4 previews per movie. So the movie starts maybe 10, 15 at the most after its start time. So they're not wasting too much of your time. They get right to it. It is a movie theater for movie lovers, by movie lovers. That's kind of the tagline. And I'm really enjoying the AMC, the Alamo Draft House. So that's been a really good decision. It's been a really good fix for me, so I can go see as many movies as I want and don't have to pay for the tickets, which would add on to the cost. So the $30, I've made that in the last week, 2 weeks, because I went and saw We Bury the Dead last week. Didn't do a review on it. Daisy Ridley at horror vehicle. Had a good time with that movie. And maybe I'll talk about it next week where I'll give some spoilers. I usually like to give 2 weeks before I give spoilers. Maybe I do a spoiler review of We Bury the Dead next week. And I would love to see, I need to check how that's doing as far as box office, because I know a few people who went and saw it and a lot of people liked it. But as far as Primate, I enjoyed it for the most part. Very gory, very bloody, very silly premise of an ape going ape. Greenland 2, a movie that really didn't need to be made, but of course I watched it because Morena Baccarin was in it. I had a great time with that movie as well, but it was very dour, very depressing movie. Extremely depressing movie. The end of the world again, right? Like, you've already survived the end of the world once. You got to survive it again. And it served its purpose, but it was a movie that didn't need to be made. And then, of course, we have People We Meet on Vacation, which is my winner for the weekend. I would definitely stay at home, watch this very cute, watch this very schmaltzy romantic comedy with two great leads, great set pieces, great different vacation spots. So if I would pick any movie for the weekend, it would definitely be People We Meet on Vacation. That would be my choice to go see, unless you just hate rom-coms. Then, of course, you can always go see Primate or Greenland 2. That would probably be my last choice because it's just damn depressing. It is just damn depressing. But on that note, we're going to end the live stream. Once again, thanks, Frank, for being here. And I hope you guys watch this on the rewatch. And of course, if you enjoy this content, like and subscribe to the Have You Seen That With T YouTube channel. And listen out next week. The Island of Relevancy is back. WWE's in a new era. We are coming back. Type in Island of Relevancy. You'll find our podcast there where we talk about WWE wrestling. And if the rumors are true, and it's been spoiled because I didn't watch SmackDown, Drew McIntyre is our new champion. Drew McIntyre, new WWE champion. And I'm happy about that. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the live stream now. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll catch you next time.